Okay, this is chapter 13 of The Night Singer. 13. The sound of the children in the playground seemed to hit Hannah as she stepped outside, and she was taken aback by the powerful sense of longing it awoke in her. She shut out their voices, along with the memory of Fabian lying beside her in bed, fingertips grazing her collarbone, kissing her, his lips slowly moving downward, looking up at her and saying that he thought they should start a family. Hannah pulled out her phone and dialed the number she had been given for Tatjana Eden. The line was busy. "Back to the station?" asked Eric. Hannah nodded. She tried Tatjana's number again once they were in the car. This time the call went through, but Tatjana didn't pick up. Eric glanced over at her with a half smile. "What?" she asked, slightly snappier than intended. "Today might have been slightly more hectic than you were expecting from your first day, but I swear it's normally much calmer around here." "Thanks, but I'm used to it. I was with violent crimes in Stockholm." That wasn't what I meant." She knew she should apologize, blame it on how difficult it felt that the son of one of her old friends had been killed, say that it had stirred up so many emotions to see Rebecca again. That was the truth. Her body also felt like it was being torn apart with longing to stop being so damn lonely. But when she failed to speak, Eric shook his head and focused on the road ahead. For once, he kept quiet. Ove came out of his office when he saw them walk past. "Ah, Hannah, good, come in. We'll get your service weapons sorted." The air smelled different in Ove's office, and at first Hannah couldn't identify the scent. Then it struck her. It was some kind of spray to hide the fact that he had been smoking. For all she knew, it could have been there this morning too. She had been far too stressed to notice. Ove gave her the name and number of the man she should contact to sign out her service weapon. "None of the searches are finished yet," he continued. "Neither the crime scene nor this room, but Joel Forsland's body is on its way to Lingkoppen now." Okay, she really did need to stop saying that. "Joel's mother is an old school friend of mine. There was no way she would be able to hide the link forever, so she decided simply to come out and admit it." "Yes, Eric mentioned." Hannah was on the verge of saying "okay" again, but managed to stop herself in time. It irritated her that Eric had been so quick to talk to Ove. He must have done it when they were still at Rebecca's, because that was the only moment she could think of when they hadn't been together. He should have brought it up with her first. "Is it a problem?" Ove asked. "Absolutely not," said Hannah. "The opposite, if anything. Rebecca will talk to me." "Yes, Eric mentioned that too. But what about Axel? Apparently you also knew him." "I haven't spoken to either of them in 16 years, Hannah quickly pointed out. In their interview with Axel, she hadn't used their past to her advantage. Ove shrugged. Clearly, this part of the conversation was over. Back in Stockholm, she probably would have been taken off the case. "I just wanted to make sure it wasn't a problem," he said, "and that you're doing okay." "How are you doing?" The first question he had asked her 16 years ago, though she refused to get caught up on that now. "We need to move forward with Axel Stansted," she said, recapping both what Rebecca had said and the way Axel had reacted. "You know who he is, don't you?" "Yeah, he's an asshole. That hasn't changed. Rebecca's word is all we have to back up the alleged abuse. We'll need more than that if we're going to go after him." "Go after him? Are you serious? It's not what it's about. We should at least check his phone and emails." Hannah regretted her outburst the moment she spoke, but Ove's consideration was like an itchy blanket she had wanted to throw off. His choice of words bothered her. Go after him. It was like he thought she needed some kind of personal vendetta against Axel. "I might not have expressed myself very well there," said Ove, "but I don't think we should. Not yet." When Hannah first met Ove 16 years earlier, she got the sense that he wasn't a man who exerted himself unnecessarily. Or maybe that was just what she had concluded afterward, looking back over their meetings. What she really wanted was to ask him about the investigation into her father, but she held off. She had read almost everything that had been written about it, but she hadn't attended the trial. Her father had forbidden it. Why had she listened to him? There was so much that she still didn't know. "Do we have Joel's phone at least?" she asked. Call logs and messages could be requested, but teenagers often used apps to communicate, and for that they needed the phone itself. "Yes, he had it on him," said Ove, "but it's in pretty bad shape, unfortunately." Ove's own phone started ringing, and as he reached for it, Hannah took the opportunity to get up and leave. She didn't make it very far. After listening for a few seconds, Ove thanked the person on the other end of the line and hung up. That was one of the forensics technicians searching Joel's room, he explained. They've just found some hash. How much? 5 grams. 5 grams was enough to sprinkle on around 15 rolled cigarettes, depending on how strong you wanted them to be. It was hardly enough to be selling, but the news left Hannah feeling uneasy all the same. This was probably just the beginning. She knew what murder investigations were like. How was Rebecca going to manage all the crap that came to light? The last day. Nadine hurries off to her math class, but Joel stays behind in the cafe. Their hours together has helped lighten his mind. The weeks after she told him she was in love with him were some of the worst of his life. That was when she tried to kill herself for the second time, when she almost managed it. But they found their way back to one another, and he never wants to stop being her friend. He can't even imagine a life without Nadine. It's his head that's the problem. He needs to learn to think differently. But how easy is that? Joel scrapes the spoon across the white china plate, raises the last few crumbs of cake to his mouth. There's a small group of teenagers sitting at one of the other tables, clearly skipping school. Joel has seen them before. 3 guys and 2 girls. They're loud, dressed in black with tattoos and piercings. One of the girls has rainbow-colored hair like Leanna Kelson, the ballsy handball player. Why isn't he brave enough to be more like them, to really make a mark? In truth, he doesn't actually like tattoos or piercings, not on himself anyway. He's too scared of anything painful. The kids are talking about graduation, saying it'll be their turn next year. One of the boys glances over at him, the cutest one. He's blonde with light brown eyes. Oh my god, I called it! Okay, just one small tattoo peeking out from beneath the curve of his shirt collar, possibly a flame or maybe a flower. Before Joel has time to stop himself, his hand is up on his face. The skin by his nose feels tender. It's going to break out into a pimple. The boy doesn't say much, mostly just listening to the others, but his eyes settle on Joel. Worried he is about to start talking to him, Joel gets up and hurries away. Out on the street, the sun has dipped behind a cloud. It's too early to head back to the island, so he walks down toward the shopping center instead. Freezes when he sees the man coming out of the bag shop. He tries to escape into Sada Langston, but it's too late. Joel! He stops. It'll be worse if he doesn't. Hi, he says. That isn't the word he uses with this man, and particularly not to his face. Joel's earliest memory is of Axel shoving his mom into a radiator. He had just turned 4 and was convinced she was going to die. There was blood everywhere. Shouldn't you be at school? Since when did you care? He knows he shouldn't taunt him, but he can't just stand there and pretend everything is fine. Joel is terrible at pretending. Part of him wishes Axel would hit him. Maybe there's something in Nadine's method after all, using physical pain to escape the other kind. And with so many witnesses, there's no way Axel would get away with it. Less of the attitude, please. Joel bows exaggeratedly and sees Axel's eyes flash. A second later, he is smiling again. I can help you, actually. What do you say about moving in with me when you start senior high? You'll be closer to school that way. Have you decided what your focus is going to be yet? This is more than Axel has said to him in months. He calls and texts from time to time and always sends a birthday present, but Joel never replies. I don't know, he says. Axel flashes his fake smile again. I think you should do natural sciences at... I'll probably go for health and social care, Joel interrupts. Axel stares at him like he has lost his mind. Maybe he has, talking to Axel like this. He knows how quickly the man can fly off the handle, but the minute the words leave his lips, Joel feels any hesitation he had vanish. Yes, he loves drawing, but he can't picture himself making a living from it. I don't want anything to do with you, he snaps. Do you think I've forgotten what you did to Mom? She turned you against me. Just leave me alone, Joel tells him. He starts walking away, heart racing. The lump in his chest seems to be moving upward toward his eyes. Joel blinks back the tears. I don't know what you think you remember, Axel shouts after him, but you're wrong. No, Joel thinks, I'm not wrong about you, and if you knew who I really was, you'd probably kill me.